John Fetterman is now calling on President Trump to fire Kristi Noem. The senator was one of 7 Democratic senators who voted to confirm Secretary Noem to her post last year. The Democratic senator from Pennsylvania joins us now to tell us more about his call for new leadership at the Department of Homeland Security. Senator Fetterman, we're happy to have you on American Agenda. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to start by asking you, what should Secretary Noem have done differently?
Oh, sure. Like you brought up, I was one of 7 Democrats that voted for Secretary Noem because I'm on the Homeland Security and I'm actually the ranking member of the subcommittee of border security. And I am the Democratic lead. I worked with my friend Katie Britt from Alabama to pass the Lakin bill. And I've been the one Democrat that even warned my party back in 23 that the border was a disaster and Mayorkas was a disaster. Absolutely, he really needs to go. And now I think it's safe to say that Secretary Noem, I came into it with an open mind. I voted for her, and I took a lot of political blowback for doing that. I wanted to work with her because I was a Democrat that we demand a secure border. We want to deport all the criminals. And then when what happened in Minneapolis, you really seem like you are actually damaging the president's legacy of really securing our border and creating all kinds of damaging kinds of optics. And now 2 Americans were dead. And I don't believe they were domestic terrorists. So for me right now, I think when there's been a loss of confidence in leadership, and I think Biden made a huge mistake not to fire Mayorkas, and that's what I'm urging Trump as a Democrat, absolutely, that bought into securing our border and deporting all the criminals. I think that's why I reached that point where I've lost any confidence on Secretary Noem.
Senator, can you sympathize with some of the people who are saying that maybe Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Mayor Jacob Frey should have aided the federal government in the law enforcement and giving them assistance here? Yeah. Can you talk about that? And had they worked together, maybe we wouldn't be in this position that we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any jurisdiction, if they are in custody of any criminal migrants, absolutely turn them over to ICE so they can deport them 100%. And I was very disappointed with Governor Walz referred to ICE as Gestapo and those things. Don't ever compare anybody to Nazis. ICE, they do have a job to do. And now for me, I don't agree with many of those tactics, but they are not the Gestapo. And now what happened in Minneapolis, I described this in my statement, that's become an ungovernable and a dangerous urban theater for law enforcement, for citizens and agents. For now, you have to stand down so no more people get hurt because you are not really seem to be rounding up exclusively criminals. And again, if I was the president, I'm watching my legacy get trashed by these kinds of things in Minneapolis.
Senator, are you going to try to speak to President Trump about your thoughts?
I haven't directly, but for me, I'm again as a Democrat that I agree that we really need to secure our border. And now it's weird too because I was in the same situation saying that Mayorkas had done a terrible job and created effectively an open border. So that's why I'm trying to call it straight. As a Democrat, I'm going to call out a Democrat, or I'm going to announce that a person that I voted for and I wanted to work for as a member of the Homeland Security, and I was incredibly disappointed. And for me, if I'm the president, she is effectively representing a legacy, and I wouldn't be comfortable if I was president for what's happened in Minneapolis. I am trying to play it straight here, and I'll follow the truth in the circumstances, regardless of the party that I'm in or what the party as the president is.
Senator Kristi Noem in March is going to testify before the Senate Judiciary. What kind of questions do you think should be asked? What kind of testimony do you want to hear from her?
Well, one thing I will do is, I'm not going to try to have gotcha moments. I'm not going to go in there trying to get clipped and put on MSNBC. That's what a lot of that oath is. What I would say is I'm disappointed. I came into this. In fact, she sat in my office. I think I was maybe the only Democrat that met with her. And I said, hey, I look forward to working with you too. So I came with it an open mind. And now I didn't jump on it early on. You got to go. finally, after what happened and the way that reacted, I thought it was entirely appropriate. And I'm doing it from a way saying everyone, is in danger, and our goals have been lost. And now, and now have a reset and have a new conversation, and now trying to, refocus on securing our border. And that's been successful, and deporting all of the criminals. I think we can all agree with that. And I've also been mentioning too, the latest statistics that I've seen, about 2/3 of those ICE is deporting are criminal. And again, I think we should talk more about that too. I think that's a good thing.
And I think sometimes those numbers get, misused. I've heard a lot of conflicting reports. Senator, you're saying 2/3. Some media outlets will say it's way less than that.
Right. Senator, while we have you, though, I do want to ask you, President Trump is speaking in Iowa today about affordability, which, of course, a problem that a lot of Americans are very much concerned about. And Bob and I both from Pennsylvania, and I know your constituents in Pennsylvania, a lot of them also still feeling a lot of pain. What do you want to hear from the president? What do you hope he can tell Americans?
I mean, honestly, so for me, like, hey, what I talk about if I was president, hey, I just bought some eggs 2 days ago, and they were $2 a dozen. If you're from Pennsylvania, maybe Giant Eagle, you probably may shop there too. And I just gassed up my Jeep at Costco at $2.87. I mean, that's pretty decent. So we want to make more things more affordable, and I would like to hope we can make our healthcare more affordable and some other things. But for me, I've been in Iowa. And that's very much part of reflective of real Americans now, too. And that's what I represent here in Pennsylvania, and where you're from, Pennsylvania. So for me, affordability is an important conversation. And that's why representing Pennsylvania, I'm always trying to be the voice of reason and just calling what are balls and strikes. And, I'm eager and happy to appear on your network as well too, because I want to have a conversation with anyone that wants to have a conversation,
regardless of sides, like we're having right now. Just this straight up convo. We appreciate you being here, Senator. Want to get back to ICE. Some of your colleagues calling for a government shutdown if DHS isn't reformed before some funding bills get passed before the weekend hits here. Do you support that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to remind people. And actually, my colleague from Kentucky pointed out, ICE already has all of their money. So that vote is really largely symbolic, because it's not going to defund. And again, I also, as a Democrat, one of the rare Democrats, saying, do not abolish ICE and keep back to saying that ridiculous kinds of thing. That's just stupid. That's outrageous to think those kinds of things. So for me, now, I absolutely revere our military. And now that would put the military, for the second time in 2 months, not pay our heroes and the people that are defending our nation. That's un-American. And as a Democrat, I've always said that it's wrong to shut our government down. And as that becomes our new tactic in my party, that made it impossible for me to join that. And I was one of the Democrats that led that last year and refused to shut our government down. Now this minibus is those 6, in that. If they unbundle it, that's going to change the dynamic. But if that doesn't happen, that would almost guarantee that we will shut our government down. And I would find myself unwilling to not pay our military and damage other parts of our government, especially to remind people that it's not going to change the situation with ICE at this point. I didn't agree
common
with
sense.
that.
Common sense thinking.
Common sense. Senator John Fetterman from the state of Pennsylvania. We appreciate you coming on American Agenda. Stop back soon, sir. Thank you.
All right. You're from Pennsylvania, right?
I'm from Western PA, Mount Pleasant, which I know you know.
Are you Wawa Sheets?
Eastern,
is it like a Sheets and Wawa kind of thing here?
She's Wawa.
I'm Wawa. Why am missing Pennsylvania?
Oh my God,
I know you went to. I know you went to Albright.
Sheets
so,
all the way.
Yeah, Albright. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And she's an Eagles fan.
Oh my God, no! Steelers. No.
We can still be friends. All right, we can still be friends.
We get along well.
Senator, thank you so much. We appreciate it.